What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Believe it or not, it is Saturday, June 1st, 2024. I don't know where time's gone. That's neither here nor there. We had SmackDown last night. We're going to break it down. I've got a sweet Saturday crew with me. We're getting ready for UFC 302 later tonight. That's going to be wicked. Little Dustin Poirier, Islam Makhachev action. But before we do that, we got to break down last night's SmackDown. I'm going to toss this one out to Philadelphia for our head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. What's up on this Saturday afternoon? It's, I guess, technically for all of us.
Yes. It should be a fun show as Clark waits for tonight to see a story finish, just like I did at Mania. And we're halfway through the year, so let's get it started.
Absolutely. I am stoked to get into it. I'm going to send it a little bit further south this time, though, to Texas. But confirm that you're actually there, Ignacio, right? Geographically, you never know where Ignacio is, but I believe Texas right now, right?
I'm in Texas, Houston, Texas right now, or
Yes,
I currently reside, but who knows where I'll be tomorrow. No, I'll be in Texas for quite a while, but excited today for talk about some SmackDown, what I liked, what I didn't like. And man, it's insane that we're halfway through the year already. Just before you know it, we're going to be partying in Las Vegas for WrestleMania next year.
Seriously. Time has been flying. I'm so with you. I looked up, I'm like, wait, it is June 1st. That is outlandish. Now I got to send it across the pond, though. Back once again. We haven't been on a show in a while. Actually, not that long, but either way, Jordy, what's up today?
I was going to say it's been 7 days, but that is a long while because there was a little bit of time, I think, before I went away on my honeymoon and to get married and whatnot, where me and you were kind of seeing each other every couple of days. So even 7 days does feel like a stretch, but it's nice. I've got the UK back to myself again. I was with Chaos on a show, so the UK was a little bit cramped on Tuesday, but I've got it back to myself now. And yeah, let's talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. There's plenty of both, realistically, in my humble opinion. So yeah, let's get into it.
There's some very fun stuff on last night's show, and let's get started with the first segment of the day. Let's talk about the Paul Heyman, Kevin Owens stuff. We also have the Street Profits versus the Gorillas of Destiny, God, whatever you'd like to call them. God goes over in that match. Heyman and Owens. I mean, come on, it's Heyman and Owens, right? Like, this is just great stuff. Anthony, what did you think about this portion of SmackDown last night and the direction of the bloodline going forward?
Yeah, I absolutely love Heyman. He really is so central to the whole story. I've compared it before. Heyman very much right now, he almost feels like he's in a hostage situation. Like it very much feels like he is with abusive people. His complete meltdown when he's warning Kevin Owens, like, you need to get away. These guys are thugs, his exact words, was priceless because you could see Heyman having like a nervous breakdown because, this is a man that managed Brock Lesnar, and the Beast did have moments of rage, but this is something different. This is not something the Heyman character is used to. And I think it comes off great. And it's, he's very terrified. He can't wait for Roman to come back. The fans were chanting for Roman. He acknowledged it and said, no one wants Roman back more than I do. And it's going to come to a head at some point where Solo is going to try to go after Heyman. And that's probably when Roman will come back. Or maybe they'll beat him down and then that brings Roman back. One way or another, there was the great line, before I forget, when Paul said, we need to get things in order with Cody for when Roman returns. And he's like, we have it handled. And Heyman's like, who's we? And then they cut it, which was smart. As far as the match, it was what it was. I thought it was a pretty decent match, but like really the highlight of this was really the Heyman stuff, which is it always is the case 9 times out of 10 when Heyman cuts a promo. It's probably one of the most memorable things of the entire night. and this night, last night, was no exception.
Yeah, it's one of those where, like, I knew, especially you with your Philadelphia background and history with ECW and watching Heyman's entire career, I'm like, I couldn't even do it justice as I knew you would be able to, because I thought he borderline stole the entire show last night. And that was at least my thoughts on it. Like, you don't get much better than Paul Heyman in his role and all that, because, by the way, just when there's a tiny bit of criticism about, we shouldn't have Heyman cowering in the back behind these guys, he explains why.
Yeah.
And that's the brilliance of Paul Heyman.
I
Storytelling wise, that was a narrative a week and a half ago, right? All kinds of people online talking about, this new version of the bloodline. Why isn't Paul Heyman talking? Why isn't he on the mic more, right? He's just cowering behind Solo, and Solo's not as good on the mic as Paul Heyman. Maybe he should be talking on their behalf. No. There was a reason the whole time. And it just, the guy's been a step ahead for a long time, and you got to give him credit where it's due. The wise man fits as well as anything, but obviously, Ignacio, I got to ask you about both of the Heyman Owens, all of the entire interaction throughout the night, and then, of course, the match with God and the Prophets. What were your thoughts on it? And are you in agreement that Paul Heyman borderline stole the show last night?
Oh yeah, he always does. I mean, Anthony hit it right on the head. I don't want to sound like a broken record, repeating what he said, because he just hit the nail on the coffin. But I'm gonna talk about it from a couple of different angles. And my first question to you guys is, how long before they put the belts on the God?
Ooh.
Because, everybody knows from watching the channel and the show and everything how much I enjoy and love tag team wrestling, and I wish it would go back to tag team wrestling of the years past, of the 80s and the early 90s, and it's just never recovered, in my opinion, from the mid 90s. Everybody says, well, the Hardys and Edge and Christian and the Dudleys, whatever, TLC, it wasn't the same, and then, APA and all that stuff. And, it just hasn't been the same in a very, very long time. But I think if Triple H is serious about making a formidable tag team division, and he's trying because, I do like Pete Dunne, the tag team he has with, help me out here.
It's the
with Tyler Bate.
With Tyler Bate,
yeah. I do like them. That they're very good.
It's the New Catch Redacted.
New Catch Republic. Yes, there you go.
Redacted. We don't let them have that. That's ours.
Imperium. So he's trying, but I think we need to add more story and more intensity in the tag team division. I think exactly that's what the God can do. And one thing that the Usos did when they were with the Bloodline, they make tag team wrestling more relevant again, because they were a part of the main event and the whole perspective and the whole major story that was the Bloodline. And I think the God can do that again if they make them the champions and start building up babyface tag teams that can go against them. Kind of like how, when Flair had the belt in the NWA, and then Tully and Arn and Ole had, the tag titles.
Yes.
They were all a part of the main event picture. Arn and Tully or Arn and Ole were part of that main event picture because they were a part of the main event faction that everybody was feuding against. So I think if they do that same thing they kind of did with the Bloodline with the Usos and Roman Reigns. And I think if they do that again and start building up some good babyface tag teams, we can get the tag team title picture and the tag team picture be taken more seriously, and they can be part of the main event again. I mean, they main evented the tag team titles, main evented night one of WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the God can add to the Bloodline is they can put the tag team division back on the spotlight again. I'll look at it from this perspective also of the Montez Ford and Dawkins, is that I just really think it's time that we find a way to separate these guys, to give them their own individual runs, because I hate to see them be put on the back burner as a tag team and just job to everybody else. I think Montez Ford can do some amazing things, and I think Dawkins can for that matter. So I think it's time for them to find a way to separate them, and let's see what they can do as individuals. let's start building up some new opponents and challengers for, Cody Rhodes and, Drew McIntyre for the top stars. Let's give them a shot what they can do in the upper mid card in the main events. So a little bit different perspective, not to get too out of topic, but I think, the match was good. And we both know, we all know what Montez Ford and Dawkins can do. It was a decent match. Heyman did his thing, but I think looking at it from these two different perspectives can get some brainstorming going as far as, what can these guys do in the main event, Dawkins and Montez Ford, and what can the GOD do for the WWE's tag team division?
Absolutely. And I really love what you said about the tag team division in general. I agree. GOD can be put in a spot where they can really elevate the whole division. The problem is the division needs depth. And I feel like the strongest team on that brand is the Profits, who they just beat. So this is like a rivalry. I wish we would have had GOD beating some lower level teams. The pool's too shallow of teams, right? And so it feels too recycled. I think that's one of the largest issues with the tag division. And it does feel like anytime a team gets hot, they're on the brink of breakup, because we have a lot of single stars pairing up for a short time, as great as KO and Sammy was. And we know about their friendship. So you kind of give that one a pass by comparison to other, can they coexist pairing, right?
Yeah.
You're going to give Sammy and KO the pass. But we need to build the actual tag teams, because, I mean, there's plenty of good ones on the rosters, but we just broke up Imperium. We just broke up Imperium for no reason. And I've never understood it. Like, they're a great, logical team.
Further to what you said as well, Ignacio, with the Profits, like, I thought they were turning heel with Bobby. I thought that was what the whole thing was. And now they seem to be face again. So I don't really know what the point in that was. And I agree. I think it is probably we find a way to split them up. My only fear is that Montez sprints and Angelo probably isn't gonna go at the same pace as Montez, and I would worry slightly for where he would fit in the roster right now, because we're seeing talent like Andrade, which we'll speak about later, but kind of meandering in that middle card picture with no real direction, and I think he would maybe just be one of them, or someone that just would carry on jobbing, whereas Tez I feel like could go further. But in terms of like the bloodline story itself, man, Heyman stole the show. And I think, again, agreeing with you, Ignacio, that it's a matter of time until we see GOD, or I think the bloodline, as they're referring to him, with the belts, because I think quite possibly, looking at last night, we could be seeing that DIY could take them off Grayson and Theory, because they're starting to show cracks in their foundation. And once we've got it on a pair of faces, I think it's prime for the taking for GOD to come in and get them titles. So it was great segments of this show. Like, completely the highlight was Heyman, but everything around it was good. It just, that match itself, exactly like you, Ignacio, made me think, like, what are we doing? Where were we going with the Street Profits? And if nowhere, then break them up.
Yeah, that is so true. We've got a ton of comments about Montez Ford and the Profits. First, let's start with Chris Leclerc with Montez Ford as future WWE champion. I'm in agreement. I think he's unbelievably underrated and charismatic and awesome. And then Shadi added, a good friend Shadi, the Tuesday Night Delight, get the twos up. But Montez Ford has a little bit of Dwayne Johnson charisma in him and is a major athlete and high flyer. Would love to see him as a single star. And then he added, Angelo Dawkins reminds me of D'Lo Brown.
You better recognize
that is a wild one. We also have a comment over here from Soul, which is, Clark, I have some bruised ribs after throwing myself at a tree. Can I get the summer off again? And Soul, I would say rub some dirt on it, man. We need you this next week. So we're making the schedule tomorrow. Walk it off, man. You'll be fine. Bobby Batito in the building. What's up? Hello, Bobby. Good to hear from you. And then Beetle Chris is over on Instagram with it looks like seeds were planted for an eventual split between Theory and Waller. Yep. And then I think the titles will soon go to DIY and then the GOD.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
That makes a lot of sense for sure. Shad's got another. Shad had it. Soul's got AEW health insurance. He's good.
According to CM Punk, that's not that good.
Doesn't that mean he has to pay for it all out of pocket himself and do all that?
According to Punk, that's not so good.
That is way too funny. Okay, let's move on to our next segment, though. Let's talk about Ciampa and Theory. Speaking of Theory, man, I hate to toot my own horn here, but was I right about Theory? Who cares? Who in the world cares about Austin Theory at this point? This guy opened WrestleMania 39 against John Cena, ended a Monday Night Raw shooting baby oil in Bobby Lashley's face, and that's where you're going to end up. It was goofier than a football bat, and that's neither here nor there. We did have a match last night between Ciampa and Theory, and Ciampa wins via schoolboy. Anthony, I got to ask you your thoughts on the match, but what in the wide world of sports are we doing here with Austin Theory, man?
Listen, you and I were on a show with Ben. It was after Cena cut the promo on Theory, and I said, and you agreed, there's no way this guy recovers. That promo tore him apart. And even though he won at Mania, it didn't do anything. They've tried to repackage this guy multiple times. I remember seeing him in Evolve and went, I think this kid has some talent. He has not succeeded multiple times in WWE. I think you need to cut the cord. I don't know what you do with this guy. You've repackaged him. You sent him to NXT twice. There's nothing you could do with this guy. I do think they planted the seeds for him and Waller to break up. I agree with that. I think the future's in Waller. I think he's got a much better future than Theory does. And I think, I agree. DIY is probably going to be the transitional champions to win the tag titles. I think I agree with Ignacio. I do think this eventually does go to the Guerrillas of Destiny. They're probably going to take the titles. I don't see Solo taking the WWE Championship. I don't see that happening anytime soon. And I think ultimately, like Ignacio said with the tag teams, this is leaning towards you're going to see a Guerrillas of Destiny against the reformed Usos at some point. At some point, you're going to get OG Bloodline against the new Savage Bloodline. And I ultimately think that's where this is headed. As far as the match itself, it was what it was. It was designed for one reason and one reason only, and that was to sow the seeds for the eventual Waller Theory breakup. Now, the interesting part is it seems that Waller is going to be the heel, remain the heel. It looks like they're going to try to do Theory as a face, which we haven't seen other than maybe the way, but he played an idiot in the way, so I don't know if that's the direction they're going to go. I am curious, though, would a face run with him? Because if he can't get that to work, it's time to future endeavor him and move on. Or maybe send him to TNA. You got a partnership there, send him there. Maybe they can fix him. And just kind of go from there.
It's funny because I've been trying to think of possible solutions here. Like what can you do to salvage this? Because I've definitely knocked Austin Theory for a long time on this show, but I have to. He's physically as talented as anybody. He can talk. The look is great. He's young. He's athletic. His moveset is deep. I don't understand why it hasn't been able to work. Babyface wouldn't have been the route I'd have gone. I would have gone. He gets angry and legitimately angry and starts actually beating people up.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is he really?
If we're gonna salvage him, look,
he's not believable with that. At least give him a babyface and see if he could. That's the only version you haven't done with him.
We've seen whiny heel, and then we've seen also, like you said, kind of an idiot in the way. I think the guy that's like, no, I'm sick of this reputation, and is just mad, starts really, really beating people up, would have been the route that I personally would have gone. Babyface, I'm interested. I don't know what he's going to do with it. I hope the promo style I think will be a little bit different, but if it was me, I would have thought make him like a vindictive heel this time, not a cowardly heel, which is a little bit the way he was before. Mart76 added, maybe he's an amazing face. We've never seen it from him. Maybe he's capable of it. Absolutely. Shout out, Mart. By the
Who
way, it's
knows?
been way
Maybe.
too long.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff in here. We got Bobby Petito with I like Grayson Waller more than Austin Theory. Beetle Chris, also a good friend of the show, added, from what I've seen, Austin Theory seems like a genuinely nice guy, and I think he's been miscast as a heel. That actually makes a lot of sense. And that could be interesting.
Yeah, I've never seen him in a face, even as an Evolve. He was a heel, but honestly, it might not be a horrible move to send him to TNA for a short while. See if he can rebuild himself there. I mean, it worked for Drew. It worked for Drew. It worked for other people that went there.
We've got Apex Sounds over on Instagram asking, is the TNA partnership legit? Well, if it is, that'd be a great spot for Austin Theory. We've also, before we go to a quick ad read here, we got a couple more comments from Sean's View Entertainment with incredible stream. Keep it going, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody that's tuned in for this one, and happy Saturday. But let's talk about, if you like wrestling content and you like this stream, and you want more of it, you're going to want to head over to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all of our content linked across all platforms in one place. There's giveaways. It's free to sign up. It says user-friendly of an app as you can download. You can see everything from me, everything from Ben, everything from everybody here at WR. It's absolutely worth checking out. No gimmicks, and the giveaways are absolutely excellent. So don't hesitate. No gimmicks. Check it out. You'll love it. And shout out Next Level 100%. But let's move on to our next topic of the evening. Let's talk about Andrade and Apollo. Jordy, an interesting one here. Andrade, you mentioned him earlier, looked pretty darn good last night. Picks up the win. What are your thoughts, Jordy? Where are we going with Andrade? What's going on?
Exactly, mate. Where are we going with Andrade? That is the question that I was going to ask the viewers of the stream, the people on Instagram, if it makes it there, you guys in here with me, and the people at WWE. Where are we going with Andrade? Like, what? I've seen this match like 2-3 weeks after Andrade came back, and I was on the Daily and I spoke about it, and I said it's a good sign that they're putting him against Apollo Crews, somebody who has had good runs in the past, rather than what they're doing with Bron Breakker and what they were doing at the time. And to be honest, I kind of are still doing, about putting him against people that we don't know, and he's just running over them. And it was a 2 or 3 minute match last time. This one was a little bit longer, and obviously you had the Legado del Fantasma, I think, if that's what they are again at this point, kind of involvement. But it was just a bit predictable for me. We knew that was going to happen. Like, we knew as soon as I saw Santos, it's like, what would have really shocked me is if he'd have shook his hand. That would have taken me by surprise. I wouldn't have seen that coming. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he's going near any titles. He just seems to be floating around, not losing an awful lot. Got a match at Mania, so well done for coming back. I mean, you're getting booked, but no real direction, unless they've got a long-term direction that they're just treading water and biding time until. So that's all that worries me. But I mean, yeah, it was a good enough match. And unless there's potential, because I guess him and Angel used to be partners, I believe, and if it is an attempt to putting a bit more depth into that tag division, like we were speaking about earlier, and maybe getting them two back together and splitting up Legado, maybe that's something, and maybe he'll find his place that way. But yeah, strange one, mate. Strange one that they'd pick Apollo again, because correct me if I'm wrong in the chat and stuff, but I've seen this match before. That's no Mandela effect. I've definitely seen this match, and it wasn't that long ago.
Yes,
and it was a similar match. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Oh, I mean, Jordy, think about how crazy this is. It is not that long ago we watched Apollo Crews beat Big E in an Intercontinental title match.
That's what I mean. That was one of the things I said. It's a good sign for Andrade that he's getting put against these people on this momentum run. Yeah. But now we're back here months down the line, and he's against him again. And so
And
I'm
then
like,
Angel
what?
as Garza, or as Angel Garza was, yes, they were a tag team before, but it's also like Ignacio. I know you wanted to maybe bring something up about like is it
Oh, yeah.
Legado? Is it, did you, what did you want to talk about in regards to that with Andrade?
Yeah, just because kind of like I mentioned before, they bring Andrade in. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record to the people that have always tuned into us every week or they watch the show, but it just seems like they bring either sign or bring up from NXT Latino or Hispanic talent, and they lump them in together in the same storyline. And I don't know if they're doing it because like Andrade has a history with these guys from CMML or AAA, and like Santos Escobar and Andrade, they can work similar styles, the lucha style. So that'll be a segment of the show that'll be different, story wise and also in ring action wise. Kind of like similar with when Bischoff brought in the luchadors for WCW.
Right.
He brought them in to open the show because it was different from anything else. That style was different from anything else that they were doing on Nitro at the time. Well, the issue is that style's all over the place now. You can watch it on AEW. You can watch it on WWE. You can see it on Raw. You can see it on NXT. That style's been incorporated to, all the hybrid superstars that there are now that work various styles. You can see it. So there's really no excuse for it now. It just seems like Andrade and Santos Escobar and Angel Garza, that these people are capable to do more if they get the opportunity. Andrade went out of his way. His English is pretty good now, and he's been doing promos. Yeah. I'm not saying he's the greatest promo, but definitely a lot better than he did previously. His first run in WWE. Dragon Lee speaks perfect English. I like to see what these people can do against Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and Gunther and Drew McIntyre. And everybody says, well, there's Damian Priest. I would argue that I like Damian Priest, but I would argue that Santos Escobar and Andrade have a bit more talent than Damian Priest in the ring wise. And I think they have more of a presence when it comes to promos. And the only thing I can think of is that if I don't know if WWE actually does this, and if they do, I'm assuming that this is why they came to this conclusion, that if you go to a show or do a pay-per-view at a community or an area where it's heavily Hispanic, like in South Texas or San Diego or whatever, and they survey, well, who's your favorite wrestler, or who do you like to see, or whatever, and they say Cody Rhodes, and and it's a primary Hispanic community, well, are you going to be inclined to push Andrade and Angel Garza and Rey Mysterio again and all these Hispanic superstars when the Hispanic community is telling you, like, no, we want to see Cody Rhodes, or we want to see Roman Reigns, or we want to see, Gunther? That's the only thing I can think of. But I think it's the fault of the writers or WD Creative that they don't give the Hispanic and Latino superstars or athletes, superstars, an opportunity to shine against main event players.
100%.
That's what I was trying to get at.
And to your point, Ignacio, like, you're spot on. Think about how long this dates back. The LWO storyline started in the first place with the Puerto Rico flag LWO shirts for Backlash in Puerto Rico, right? Now, while it was amazing to see Zelina Vega featured on that card, Damian Priest, Bad Bunny, all of that, it turned into this. You've lumped one group together in basically the same storyline now for well over a year.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't make perfect sense at all. It's just it's an odd situation, and I had to definitely ask you about it. Speaking of odd situations, let's move on to our next segment, though, because if anybody in the world had on their bingo card that Bayley as a babyface would be the champion, teaming with Naomi, and they're taking a collective loss against Piper Niven, or in the words of my friend Ben Allison, Pipper Niven. I'm not actually sure how. Jordy, is it Piper or Pipper?
No, it's Piper. I think
Yeah.
It's definitely Piper.
I've been
There's a name, there's a British name that's Pippa. There's like Pippa, so he's probably just making a joke. But
okay.
I
Either
believe it's
way,
Piper.
I get Pipper Niven out of Ben every single time, and it tickles me to death. But continue with Chelsea Green. They pick up the victory over Bayley and Naomi. Naomi takes a pinfall. Interesting match. The juxtaposition, the fact that Bayley, we all know Bayley, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Mercedes Moné are so close, and this whole Mercedes Moné is all over the news. We now have Bayley tagging with Naomi live on a Friday night. It's just absolutely wild, but I do dig it. I think it's not a coincidence. And it kind of cracks me up. Ignacio, what did you think about the match last night and just the whole thing? The irony in it.
It's just like, I was more happy and excited to see the Queen Nia Jax at the beginning of the show, and then Piper came in and Chelsea came in to attack Bayley at the beginning, and now we have our match at the end of the show. But I mean, it was what it was. It was an okay match. You know what I mean? But I think Chelsea and Piper Niven have developed a pretty good chemistry as a tag team. I like them. I think Chelsea was very good with Sonya Deville, and then Sonya got hurt, and I thought they would pair them together, find a way to pair them together again. But they got pretty good chemistry. I like the finish of the match. It was good for what it was. And it looks like we're building a story. We're going to get Nia Jax and Bayley at SummerSlam, but it looks like in between might get like Bayley and Piper Niven or Bayley and Chelsea or something like that. And I think that if she didn't win it this year, I don't even think Chelsea wasn't in the tournament this year, right? For Queen of the Ring. I'm sorry.
I don't believe so.
No, I don't believe she was. No, she wasn't.
So.
Well, she needs to next year because that's a person with a hell of a lot of personality and presence, and she has a social media presence, and she's good in the ring, and they need to find a way to present her better or present her more or give her a chance, more opportunity to see what she can do in that main event picture a little bit later on this year because she's a star. She looks like a star. She acts like a star. She talks like a star. She looks great. She's got great in-ring ability. So they need to find a way to brighten up her character as far as her presence, let's just say, in the main event. And I think she's a very good candidate, maybe not to win the Royal Rumble, but maybe to win next year's Queen of the Ring, and they can build her up from there because I think she's picture perfect for that position.
Even Money in the Bank.
I think Money in the Bank.
Yeah, even Money in the Bank. There you go. You got a year to build her because it's a year, right, to cash in the briefcase.
And it's in Canada, by the way, Ignacio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Money
really?
in the Bank
In Toronto.
Yes.
So there you go. Perfect. So I hope they decide to do more with her. But it was a solid match. I like to see him do more with Chelsea. Naomi, she's all right. I'm not a real big Naomi fan, but I'm just I'm curious to see where this goes. And I really would like to see Nia Jax defeat Bayley at SummerSlam because I think she can be a monster champion heel. I'm excited for that.
I am as well. I agree. I like it a lot. And I love what you said about Chelsea Green. I think it's really what they were kind of looking for with Piper's partnership with Red, for lack of a better way to put it. And Piper's, there's a comment over here from Shad about she's really found her confidence as the enforcer for Chelsea Green. And I agree. She looks outstanding in the ring.
Yeah.
It's almost acting like a manager last night, and Piper just stood there silent, like
Yes.
Paul was for Solo in previous. And that just it's almost like another string to Chelsea's bow because, like Ignacio said, she's phenomenal in the ring. She's got a presence. I think she's someone that they could give the Money in the Bank briefcase and say, "Listen, you're not going to be successful with your cash in," and she would say, "I don't care because I'm going to make the run memorable and it's going to be funny when I fail, or like I'll create a moment." And I've heard her speak in interviews, and she said that she's not that fussed about winning things. She just wants to create moments, and that's what it's all about. And I think after hearing that and then seeing how she goes about things, like how she performed in the Royal Rumble, for example, it's always memorable. She always creates something that you walk out of the show or the evening talking about. So yeah, I have nothing but great things to say about her.
Honestly, of all the people Hunter brought back, the two best ones that he brought back were Nia and Chelsea. They have legitimately have blown up as far as talent wise.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our final segment of the evening, though. Afternoon depends on where you are. It's only noon. It's just afternoon for me, but that's not the point. AJ Styles. I thought, and I said earlier in this show that Paul Heyman stole the show. I thought AJ Styles was one salmon blazer away from stealing this show. Personally, because I really liked this. Cody delivered. The crowd was into it. I like the idea of the rematch here. Kind of a palate cleanser post Logan Paul is what I called it last night. Jordy, I'm gonna ask you your thoughts on it. AJ with the ball fake there, the pump fake, right? And he had me for a sec.
He really had me for a sec. He kind of, as it started, it was one of them where the more it went on, I was just like, no. And then, like, when it got to a point when he was getting teary and Cody was getting teary and Cody was raising his hand literally just about a split second before what happened, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, he is actually retiring. But yeah, then there we go. I should have trusted my gut, because it was a little pump fake, a little shimmy, and he did us all. It was solid. I
jumped too.
It was like I say. It got to a point where finally I'd gone, all right, right. I was wrong. I thought he actually must be retiring here, and then great stuff. Excited to see another match between these two. Oh, give us a stipulation. Like, go on. I'm worried with the way it's gonna go, that like AJ might put his career on the line or something like that. And that scares me a little bit. But because obviously I kind of faced the reality of losing AJ last night and I wasn't happy with it. So I don't want him to put his career on the line, but I feel that he might, if he is kind of ready to bow out soon, because it'll be a hell of a match between these two. And how does it go from here? Does Cody just demand AJ now? Like, was that the play that Cody just goes with emotion, goes to Nick and goes, I want AJ, I don't care, give me AJ. Because we've seen that happen in the past, so that could well have been his kind of the trick up his sleeve and the motive behind it. And I hope it is. So yeah, it's well played, Mr. Styles. Well played indeed.
Absolutely. I'm with you. We got a comment here. Chris Leclerc, good friend of the show. Dude, that was the salmon blazer joke.
Yeah, it was still like a pale. It was still like a pale, similar, but just like
salmon blazer.
Oh yeah, no, it was like pink on it. It was like a salmon, yeah, but like AJ's wasn't like a primary blue, was it? It was like it was a faded.
It was blue. Faded. It was lighter. So. It was a lighter blazer.
Baby
probably thought about that.
Got to give him credit. We'll do our fashion episode next time. Okay. Ignacio, I got to ask you about it too. Stipulation you brought up, Jordy, and I love that. The idea of a stipulation. 3 stages, I don't think it's quite enough of a blood feud that justifies it, but I did think of 3 myself, and I'm going to toss this to both Ignacio first, then Anthony, but like these are the ones that I thought would be perfect because of like the Ultimate X type stuff, ladder matches too, in the amount that AJ's had. Something like that, but like a more special edition ladder match, in it, like whether it's TLC or maybe even something similar to Ultimate X, if you can get away with it with the TNA partnership. I don't know that, or I would actually love to somehow see this end up be like a Falls Count Anywhere type street fight and really see these two fight all over the arena, because I think you could protect AJ in a way where he can hit the big spots. And then you have a pinfall in like a funky area.
The OC back with him as well. The OC were protecting him and stopping the security. So that's an interesting bit different to the previous feud, I guess.
That could make it fun, right? It'd be a little bit different. I don't know, Ignacio, do you got any ideas? And what were your thoughts on it last night with AJ's little Little head fake on us. He got us with the shimmy.
Man, it was good. AJ good. He was good at the delivery, and it was a good segment and all that. But it's just like kind of like I knew it was gonna be a fib, but I was like, I wanted it to be a little bit, not that it wasn't believable, but after after he invited like the Good Brothers to ring, I'm like, oh well, it's a fib. Like, you know what I mean? He's there, I just thought that kind of ruined it for me a little bit, but because I knew it was like, well, Cody's gonna come out and he's gonna do something or whatever. So I foresaw what was gonna happen, and but no, it was good. It was a good delivery. The finish of it was good. It was a good exchange and so forth. I just think the reason because the viewer mentioned Mark Henry. What made it so special about with Mark Henry is that you didn't expect that out of Mark Henry. That's the greatest thing that Mark Henry's ever done. It was amazing at the time when it happened. But I mean, it was a good segment, and I want to see these guys go at it again. And you mentioned a couple of ideas of as far as like what kind of a match it could be and stipulations, and maybe a ladder match, maybe a street fight or whatever. I'm not much of a ladder match guy or really too much of a gimmick match guy. Not really. It depends on the situation. I can tell you what I think WWE's probably going to do. I'm not saying I agree with it or I don't disagree with it, but I have a feeling they might go try to push Hell in a Cell.
Ooh.
Somehow.
That is a great call. I really didn't even think Hell in a Cell myself, but it's great timing for one. And to be honest, historically with Hell in a Cell, you have two outstanding wrestlers. Cody's delivered inside Hell in a Cell. I don't actually remember an AJ Hell in a Cell match off the top of my head. There may have been one. Don't get me wrong, but off the top of my head, that might be the one last box to check for AJ to put on an all-time Hell in a Cell. Ignacio, I really like that idea. That to me is enticing and worth this angle, right? Yeah. Worth AJ and Cody for the result that we'll get inside of that demonic structure, as they like to say. But Anthony, obviously we know you're Cody fandom and everything. Did you fall for it with AJ like I did for a second? No, did you not? How do you feel about the rivalry going forward? And do you like the Hell in a Cell idea? Do you like ladder match? What are you looking at? Is there a stipulation? What do you think about the whole deal?
Well, if anything, wrestling has taught us, if any male wrestler comes out to the ring in an Easter-colored suit saying that they're going to retire, it's a lie. No, Mark Henry's one, that one I was surprised because, like Ignacio said, we didn't see it in him. The AJ one, you knew. You knew it was part of the story. I do think AJ's in his probably last year. I do think he's probably retiring at Mania. That's my gut instinct. And I do think AJ's on this farewell tour thing, checking boxes. I agree with you. Hell in a Cell would obviously be one of those things if he hasn't had one. It would be on the list. War Games would probably be on the list. I was thinking possibly Last Man Standing. I'm also thinking once he gets done with Cody, because he's not going to beat Cody. Maybe they even do a stipulation where if AJ doesn't win, he'll never challenge for the WWE Championship again. The thing that I've been saying privately in chats is that I think, assuming that there is this partnership, what if AJ does one last match in TNA at Slammiversary in July? Which at that point he'll be done this feud. In theory, he'll be done. I think it's smart. He has appeared on video for Slammiversary a couple of years ago when they had their 20th. I think that's a smart move. And I think to have AJ have one last match there.
Who would it be?
I mean, the logical choice would be either Moose, who's the current champion, which I could see him putting the younger guy over. And the other guy would be the heart and soul of TNA, the one that took over pretty much after AJ, and that's Josh Alexander. I think he could put either one of those guys over. I think this is AJ putting people over on the way out. I know I made a bold prediction last week of saying I think Brock's last match, if he does wrestle again, is the Minnesota SummerSlam. I think AJ's last match will be at 41. I think it'll be against a young talent. I would not be shocked if it's Carmelo Hayes.
Mello would be a great matchup too. Actually, Mello and AJ would be really fun. I love AJ Styles.
Yeah, they'd kill it, man. They'd kill
I
it.
miss short-haired AJ Styles. I miss soccer mom-haired AJ Styles. I like
Well,
the
he is soccer
current
mom
AJ
now.
Styles. I've liked all of the AJ Styleses. But
Clark,
one thing I will say about style before we
Yeah.
finish up the show is we learned an important lesson today. That if you wear anything resembling spring fashion
Mhm,
and or pastels,
mhm.
it totally means you're not retiring.
I
man,
do
you
I
called
do
it.
want to say I saw a great picture online. They said AJ went from the little kid getting picked up at soccer practice to the mom driving the minivan picking her son up at the soccer practice.
That's brutal.
I mean, it's technically
hate it.
accurate.
It's funny. AJ's the legend. We all
It was
know
a goat.
that.
Absolute goat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so-
Oh, Bobby Batito with how about AJ Styles, Mike Bayley? Yes, sign me up. I actually love that. I think Mike Bailey's been really inspired by AJ Styles, especially his earlier run
Mhm.
in TNA, and that's a matchup I'd love to see. But that does bring us to the end of the show. It's been a blast. On behalf of all of us at Wrestling Republic, I'm Clark Taylor. We got Anthony, Jordy, Ignacio. I'm getting used to this whole pointing to the corner thing. How about that, guys? I got it right for once. Usually I point to the wrong frames. Either way, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. It means the world to us. Have an excellent, excellent weekend. Go Dustin Poirier tonight. Either way, it's going to be an excellent fight. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be back same time, same place. Thank you so much. Have a great Saturday.